Certainty just means uniqueness, which is every project is unique and there's always a change, which means that anything can happen on a project. Anything. Shegun, you have your hands up.
Yes, please. I'm sorry, are we getting the whole slides after the class?
Yes, sorry. You guys should have the slides by now. Have you been given
sent
access
to us? We've been given slides. They've been sent via mail.
Oh,
sent you the slides by mail?
Yes.
Yeah, we
okay.
have
Okay, apologies. I'm going to check if I probably have checked. Yes, thank you. Just
Oh,
want to.
or I think you guys have been given access to Basecamp.
Yes, please. I registered. I haven't checked. I didn't know the slide was there.
Okay,
So I'm
so
gonna
the
have a look.
slides are in Basecamp, and I think your Basecamp training is on Tuesday. So you'll
Yeah,
be
sure.
The same for this class, basecamp.com. In basecamp.com, you get everything.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Nice. Sorry, Esther, you have your hands up. Okay. I think Esther is okay. Esther, do you want to speak? I think Esther has something wrong with her mic. We'll just go on. Esther, you can interrupt.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask, in terms of the timeline, is there anything like a continuous project? Because you said everything has to have like an end date, and it has to have a start date and a finish, an end date. Is there anything like a continuous project whereby even though it finishes, like it's continuous?
No, every project has to be them. That's why we have this called a change. What is it that we're trying to do? We're trying to improve a process. We're trying to fix an issue. We're trying to create something new. And in the process, when we're building, we have to have an end date where it will now go live to the general public or to whoever it is your end users are. Now, once that goes live, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that that's the end. Every company, and as a project manager, for those of you that want to be project managers, you have to also remember, you have to consider what happens after the project goes live. There could be issues. Yeah, that's why, and I guess this question doesn't really help right now because it might confuse you, but I'll touch on it at the end. But we have different ways we release a project. Sometimes the best way to release is piloting. Again, I'll talk about it later, but that way it's easier for you to resolve any issues that arise quickly as possible. But if you decide to release in other ways, it's fine. What happens after the project is released? Do you want to go through maintenance? This is where a project manager now starts negotiating with whoever the stakeholder, the key stakeholder is, the sponsor. How do you want us to proceed once it goes live? Do you want us to continue to maintain? There's a maintenance stage, which is optional. Do you want a maintenance stage where we can be available for you? How long for? 1 month, 3 months, 1 year? Some people do maintenance for like 5 years. It depends on how large the product is itself. So those are the kind of questions that a project manager will have to negotiate before the project goes live, so that the project managers know how long they will be needed for that project itself. But there is no such thing like an ongoing project, except, I don't know, maybe they're just looking for how to collect funding and they just want to keep you there. But there will always be an end date. And don't get me wrong, you might find yourself in a company where they're just collecting funding and you have a job. My suggestion is leave, because by the time they start using you to count number of staff members they have to get funding, you find yourself not growing, and you really want to grow because it helps your career. You want to, learn new skills, learn new tools. So yeah, there's always an end date. Anyway, that's my answer. 6 project variables, the aspects of a project that makes it a project: a time scale, like we just mentioned, the cost, like we just mentioned, the quality. Obviously, you should be delivering quality. So it's like, what is it that the customer is expecting? You deliver it. And benefits. So the cost benefit comes together. Cost benefit analysis is something that business analysts do. It's something that they look at the cost and the benefit, because when you're and this is why project managers and business analysts come together, work together, because you always have a cost, but it's not easy to sell something to people without giving them the benefit, especially as a project manager. In project management, you cannot sell something to anybody except, I mean, and I know we have a few salespeople here, car salespeople. When you're selling the car to me, you're not just going to tell me this car is 1 million naira. Like, why do I want to pay 1 million naira for that car? I know 1 million is a lot. I mean, I guess 1 million naira now is nothing. So I should say like 100 million or so. Why do I want to pay that amount? You have to sell me the benefits of that car. That's just what, like project management, you have to give me the benefits of carrying this out. What is it that I'm expected to achieve? We know what the end goal is, right? But we need to know the benefits. And this is why there's something called a cost benefit analysis that's done by a BA, who would have to do their own analysis to make sure that the benefits outweighs the cost, right? Like I said, cost benefit analysis is showing that the benefit outweighs the cost. There's something called tangible and intangible costs, tangible and intangible benefits. So that is something that is very important that a business analyst has to do if you want to nail down this project. And then the risk, I'll talk about risk much later. There's a lot to risks. So this is like on a high level, this is what it looks like when you in project management. We have the initiation stage, and after initiation, we go to planning stage, and then we have monitor and control, where the project managers and business analysts do their monitor and controlling. This is the phase of the project that it gets really, really busy and it gets very tedious. And there's also development going on at the same time. And then when you finish the project closure, like I said, this is high level. Shams, you have your hands up?
Yes, please. Like the previous slide, you mentioned a few things that we manage on a project. I didn't see anything like stakeholders there. Stakeholders.
This is the aspect, the 6 aspects of a project. What makes a project a project? This is just time, cost, quality, which is done by a project manager. Obviously, that's what makes a project manager a project manager. And we have scope, benefit, and risk. We haven't gotten through to stakeholder management just yet. It's not
okay.
It's not an aspect of a project. It's necessary in project management, but we're looking at what makes a project itself. So it's not a stakeholder that makes a project a project. It's
okay, then
also yeah, go on.
Okay, then also the next slide, when we, basically, I don't know, I did my PMP a while ago, and usually it's like 5 stages: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closing. So
that's it. That's what I've just shown you. So this is what you do: monitor, initiation, planning, monitor and control, and closing. Product development happens when you're actually building the product itself. So these are the people that are like maybe software developers building the project. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to necessarily be an IT project. It could just be, say, for example, if you live in the UK, especially in London, they are expanding the ULEZ areas. So that's a project on its own. It had a start there and an ended. The product development will now be for all the people that are the areas that we have identified that needs to be the ULEZ zone. We go and just put cameras out there. We put the signs that is US. So these are people physically going out there to hang things and to fix cameras to make sure that they capture people that are going into those areas so they can charge them. Those are product development. So it's not necessarily only software development, but we have to do monitor and control during that process. We need to make sure that things are working as expected and jump on issues that when they arise. Make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
No worries.
Thank you.
Wei Swa, you have your hands up.
Yeah, sorry. You mentioned something about the cost benefit being done by the BA. Just wanted to confirm, is it only business analysts that do cost benefit?
Yeah, you have analysis there. So anything analysis, yes, you are doing it.
Okay, I'm just asking because it was something I was doing and I wasn't the business analyst.
Oh, really? What were you doing?
I was the project officer. I worked with the business analyst, but I was wondering, well, maybe because I have an accounting background, so I was doing
Yeah, accounting has nothing to do with cost benefit, and accounting has more to do with like investment appraisal or something, but not maybe your yeah. Yeah, some people
Just to
can be very
yeah.
some people
Thank
can be very, very cunning like that, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. When I started my career, people used to take advantage of me too, and it helped. So at least you know how to do cost benefit analysis. This is not the role of a project officer. You were a project officer, right?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, it's not the role of a project officer at all, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah.
Okay.
No worries. Right. Okay. So these are a few things that are required to be done at every stage of the project. So this is, again, this is just at a high level. In the initiation stage, you have the objective, you understand the constraints, you understand the goals, and there's a lot to be done in initiation, not just this, but again, depends on the methodology your company is using. And the planning stage, this is just a little bit of what you need to do. There's so much. You have to create as a business analyst, you have to create the stakeholder management has to go there. BRD, PRD, if it's a product PRD. There are a lot of things that have to be done here to plan. As a project manager, you have to make sure that you understand, you have the start date and the end date. Schedule, what are the milestones, what are the deadlines, who is involved. You do a RACI matrix, who's responsible, who is accountable, who should be consulted, who should be informed, what are the things that have to be done, by whom, when is the deadline. So all of those things have to be done during the planning stage. And then controlling, again, make sure that things are done within set times. Ma'am, you are killing. Oh my goodness. Please, yeah. Thank you, Dan. But all your compliments, please wait till the end, because I read it. I go to the comments and I read it sometimes in case people have questions. And I read this and I'm like, keep it. All right, thank you, but keep it. Then at the end, you can flood me with it. Thank you. So, monitor and control. You have to give reports. Like, giving an example, I know ULEZ is a good example. I know some of you might not understand. For those of you that are not in the UK, you might not understand what ULEZ is. But I'll give an example of most of you are based in Nigeria. Those of you that are not in the UK are based in Nigeria. So let's say you have to install a camera, and I'm just throwing it out there. I'm okay. Well, let's say the toll gate, right? Lekki toll gate was a project, right? And at some point it went live. What were you guys doing during the monitor and control? Making sure that there were enough equipment that would be fitted around the toll gate, making sure that the cameras were fitted, and making sure that the system behind the camera is kind of like wired to the right person. Am I using the right word? Maybe not wired, but have the right people have access to it so that they can capture your and I don't know if this is a thing in Nigeria. I don't know. I haven't been to Nigeria in over 10 years, but maybe if you pass it without paying the toll fee, they would capture your number plate and send it to you, and they fine you. Those kind of things are what you do during monitor and control, making sure things are done right, making sure that you report to the right people at the right time. You've already done your planning stage, right? You understand who your stakeholders are. You understand how often you want to report issues to them. And also you have to continue to update documents that are in planning. You have to go, especially the business case, which I will get to, by the way, but you have to continue to update this document. So there is a lot of work done during this monitor and controlling while the execution is going on. So we can see that the arrow is going left and right here. There's a lot of back and forth to make sure that you are meeting your deadline. A good project manager meets their deadline. A great manager completes the project before the deadline. Yeah, that's all. That makes you a great project manager. So I know this woman. The woman is very ruthless. They'll tell her that the project is 6 months. She'll go and tell her people the project is 4 months, and she will make them work. And then after 4 months, it works because after 4 months, if they say they can't meet up, she would say, oh, I'm going back to the key stakeholders to let them know. But just so you know, this is the implications and all of that. She knows it's 6 months. So she comes back to them and tell them they've given us 2 weeks grace. So make sure you do it by 2 weeks. And then, of course, people work extremely hard. Then after the 2 weeks, you are sitting down doing nothing, and she just tells you, I lied, it was 4.5. So you want to kill her, but again, you want to hug her as well, because you're doing nothing at the end of the project. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, that makes a great project manager, someone that is able to make sure things are done ahead of time. Okay, you don't want to be the person that will go back to the stakeholders and say, this thing was not done on time, we were waiting, we did not get the shipment, all of that. You have to be on top of things. So that's why there's a lot of monitor and control while execution is going on. And then there is closing of a project. There are a lot of things that are done at the closing of a project. We'll get to it. And someone asked me a question, what happens after closing of a project? This is what happens here. Ongoing project improvement. This is not, it's not mandatory. It all depends on the person, the key stakeholder, the sponsor. Are they willing to pay for this ongoing project improvement or not? Some people have this hard stop, which means after this, we're done. We don't want to see you again. But, it all depends on the project you find yourself. And then once it's done, it's done. Move on to the next project. Okay. Any questions so far? Right, I take that as a no. This is
Sorry, please, I have a question.
Go on, Ruth.
Probably I need more clarification.
Sure.
On your previous slide, that the closing diagram, the items, can you do a bit of clarification on them? Because I'm expecting those items to have been at the point of executing.
No. Okay. So so we've built something like, okay, let's give acceptance documentation. We have to, there's something we call benefit realization, right? That's something a BA does as well. You want to present something to prove that you have the benefits that you say that the project will bring has been achieved. Because if you want, and this is very, very important for business analysts, when you speak to your stakeholders, make sure you're clear as to what exactly they want. And in this case, a system, if I use the system, and let's use the project, an app, let's say building the app where you can click and call. When they give you that project, they give you a vague request. We just want something to improve. This is in the real world, this is how it comes through. We want something that will improve phone calls. We don't want people that call in and then they'll be asking them all of their passwords and all of that. We don't know what to do. That's how it will come from. So when you do your investigation, your understanding, all of your use whatever tools that might be helpful or skills that might be helpful, then you come up with a suggestion. This is what you suggest. You give them more than one option and they choose, okay, do you know what? We can actually just have an app that we can, somewhere on the app where we can just click. And then from there, the developers have ways that we can, again, I'm going technical, but developers have ways that we can store it in an S3 bucket in the system, in the database, and it will pull up the person's number and make sure that the number matches the person's app. Now, every app is unique. Maybe there's a code that is unique to that person, and it will link to the customer service on a high level. Sorry if I've confused you guys, but I'm just giving an example. Now, has that worked? That's what is called a benefit realization. Now, you're going to use things like UAT to test things. Make sure it works as expected. Now, you have to do a benefit realization document. You cannot do that in controlling and execution. You have to do that once it's done, once it's finished. So that's what you do during a closing stage. You also have to do like an end of project report. Everything that happened at the end of the project. You also have to do, there's something called lessons learned, because on every single project, you will learn a lesson. You have to do the lessons learned report, and you have to speak on it. You have to have a meeting about it. There's so much you have to do at the end of a project that cannot be done during the controlling and execution stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the lessons learned that's for the PM, right? Not
Yes.
the PA.
Yes. Sometimes they give it to the PMO or project officer for for a dear lady, but yes, for the PM, not the PA.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, clear. Thank you.
Thank you. iPad 3, your name is not here, but you have your hands up. iPad 3, you have your hands up, but your name is not here. Okay, your hands are down. That's fine. So we've already discussed the program. What is a program? It's a group of related projects, okay? So, or subsidiary programs. Again, it all depends on the company and how they want to structure their company itself. If they want to have subsidiary programs, which is sub-programs, or they want to have projects. And again, it's all coordinated by a program manager. Okay, so, and that's why when I was doing the introduction, I told someone you can be a project manager and then grow to be a program manager so that you can now be the person that you're sitting and making sure that all related projects are working as expected. All right. It's a lot of work, but of course, with experience, you get there. Susan, you have your hands up. I think there's something wrong with your mic, but I'll go on and just interrupt me when you can, okay? So I can see that you're struggling with your mic. So what is a portfolio? A portfolio, I've explained to you, is a group of unrelated or related projects. So we have the portfolio, we have the program, and then we have the project. This is a great example of what a program is. It's an example. Oh, shoot. Okay. An infrastructure organization that has the strategic objectives to maximize the return of its investment may put together a portfolio. Remember the highest holding I told you. It could be a mix of oil and gas, power, roads, water, rail, airports. You can have them as individual portfolios, or you can have them as programs. All depends on the organization itself. Okay, but this is not something that would help you get a job. It's just something that you understand when you get to the company how some projects are carried out. Okay, Susan, try again. Let's see if you can get you back here. So what I do here, I don't read the slides. I explain through the slides, but you have access to the slides. So when you get home, you can actually read the slides itself, okay? Okay, so a portfolio manager or a portfolio in portfolio management, it helps the company, it guides the company on what investment decisions it should make. So like the example I gave you, like if Barclays does not have a lot of people getting insurance, car insurance from them, maybe because they're expensive, or maybe we go to, I don't know, moneysupermarket.com and it tells us that maybe, I don't know, which other insurance company, maybe Admiral or something is the cheapest. And you actually check 5 companies and you see that Admiral is the cheapest because Barclays is ridiculous. Then Barclays says, how can I get people into the company getting car insurance from Barclays? What if we offer a 10% discount, which means that if you go on the website and you check cheapest, it might not come up. But guess what? They are luring you. Now, open an account with us and you get 10% discount on your car insurance. And who doesn't want to save money? Of course, I will go for that. So those two have been put together now. Barclays might decide to make it, obviously that is a program on its own, but then they've brought together 2 different kind of departments so they can work together. And that's why a program manager is there. Remember we said that the 6 variables of a project, you have to work with it. Sorry, not the variables now. Sorry, sorry, I'm losing my train of thoughts now. I just got
Characteristics.
Thank you. Characteristics, cross-functional. You're working with people from different fields. Thank you for that. I didn't have to go all the way back. So yeah, so that's the whole idea of portfolio. The fact that the company is making investment decisions. How will we make money? What is the best strategy for us as an organization. Remember that I showed you guys, 1 second. Yeah, this. So what is the organizational strategy? How do we bring people in? Like I had, I was looking for a car insurance and I thought, this car insurance is expensive. I'm not going for you. Then they told me, listen, if you take on a content insurance with us, your car, you don't even have to pay. Basically what they're saying is you get 35% off your car insurance, which means that I even end up paying less. So I had maybe, for example, £1,000 a year for my car insurance, and then I get content insurance, which is about £200 a year. But then I've already gotten because of that, I've gotten 35% off my car insurance, which means that I even got some more money. And it works for me and it works for the company. Why? Because they have gotten me as a client now. And what are the chances of me moving from them to another company? It's less. So it's organized. It's what is the strategy that they're using to bring people into the organization, and then they think about how they will now make it a portfolio, a program, or a project. Okay, I hope you guys are following me so far, because I'm not sure if I know I'll be hearing a small number of people speak. Not a lot of people have been speaking. Okay, Joshua, sorry. Joshua, I'm not sure how to do it, but on Tuesday you should be able to find out. If anybody can help respond to Joshua. For those of you that have access to it, to the slides on Basecamp, please respond to Joshua. Okay, we can hear you. And okay, so people that have gotten their slides by email or have their slides by Basecamp, please respond on the chat, because some people need help with that. Who had a question? Sorry. Did anyone have a question? Okay, I guess not. I'll just mute you guys. Right. Okay, so this is what I've been talking about, you know, different ways that a company can decide to carry out their project. If they want to do sub-portfolio, large projects, sub-programs, projects. Ideally, this is the one that most people use, which is portfolio, programs, projects. But then it depends on the organization. It can be very, like, I work in a company called TELUS. Okay, so I think we only have one person here in Canada. So it's a popular company in Canada. My TELUS is called TELUS Agriculture. Another person's TELUS can be called TELUS Communications. Another person's TELUS can be TELUS Health, because that's, you know, health. Now they are under TELUS, of course, TELUS International, but then because they've kind of made us individuals in that sense. So we've gone portfolio, then we've got sub-portfolio, which is you know, TELUS International, TELUS Agriculture, TELUS Health, and then they've gone large programs, sub-programs, and then projects. But ideally, this is the easiest way to look at it. Most companies do it this way. So in my company, because we have portfolio, sub-portfolio, large programs, we have people like portfolio manager, portfolio analyst, program manager, program analyst, then business project manager, business analyst. That's the structure of my company, just because it's a bit complicated like that. Okay. Oh, please, anybody that has a slide, who are those people that said they've got access to the slides? Please help them. I know you should have access to Basecamp. For those of you that are mentioning you don't have access, please put on the chat if you have access to Basecamp. Because if you have access to Basecamp, you definitely have access to the slides. Okay. So in conclusion, portfolio programs and projects often engage with the same stakeholders. Okay. Usually you would have one key stakeholder who would be classed as the project sponsor. The project sponsor can be different for each program, but mostly in a program, on a project, you would have the project sponsor. I work on 2 projects. One is for PepsiCo and one is for Pernod, and I have 2 different sponsors for each one of them. I work with yes. But under PepsiCo, I work with PepsiCo Thailand and PepsiCo Romania. and I have 2 different sponsors on that PepsiCo Romania. So they could, and don't get me wrong, those same stakeholders work in other projects that I work in. However, the sponsor itself, the person that you go to that would sign off the cost of the project, is always could be one particular person, might not be the same for every project. Okay. So this is an example of a great example to look at it. Program and project management focuses on doing the programs and projects the right way, while portfolio management focuses on doing the right programs and projects, like I told you, what will help us bring money.